Welcome back to Up Front. The clock is ticking toward the August 14th primary, which will set up November's important races for governor, the U.S. House, and Senate. Over the past few weeks, we've been talking with the candidates, both Republican and Democrat, in the 1st Congressional District, southeastern Wisconsin. The seat House Speaker Paul Ryan is vacating. The Democratic primary there pits teacher and Janesville School Board member Kathy Myers against Racine iron worker Randy Bryce. And Randy Bryce joins us now on Up Front. It's good to have you back on the program.
Great to be back, Mike.
Well, let me talk about the primary first. We had Kathy Myers on this program, and you've heard her say this. She said that she feels squeezed out and ignored in this primary, that there hasn't been enough of a robust debate about the issues. Has she been ignored?
No. What we're doing, the thing is that we're creating, we're building a movement, and I'd like to say that we're in construction, not demolition. And we've been able to put together a really strong coalition. It's something that the 1st District hasn't seen since Paul Ryan's been in office. I mean, Congressman Obey lifted the Obey rule, and Gwen Moore got involved, as well as Mark Buchanan has been a huge help. And so we're building something. We're not attacking Kathy, and I think it's great that any Democratic candidate would want to step up to the plate and swing hard against these. It's an extreme version of the Republicans that we have.
And you will have debates before the primary?
We definitely. There have been 2 debates planned for quite some time, as well as another forum down in the Kenosha area.
Well, let's talk about what's happening in Democratic politics today and how that might affect your campaign. So last week we saw this basically unknown candidate in the Bronx and Queens, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, unseat a longtime Democratic Party official, Joe Crowley. What was your takeaway from that? Is the lessons of what happened there, the underdog candidate winning, are they applicable to here, or is that a very different situation?
Well, no, I think what you're seeing, a lot of candidates are stepping up, just everyday working people that are running, and we got in the race over a year ago, so we were very early, one of the first races to jump in as a congressional candidate. And we've seen other candidates like her step up, everyday working people. She excited people and got them out to vote. And we saw the last presidential election, there wasn't as much enthusiasm in years past. So that's what everyday candidates are trying to do. We're trying to get that enthusiasm, get people to the polls, give them something to be excited about. And because we're one of them, we understand the struggles of everyday people.
She has a very progressive agenda, and I'm wondering if you agree with that agenda. She, for example, wants Medicare for all. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely, I do, yes.
How about free college tuition, both 2-year and 4-year?
Yes, for public universities.
For public universities?
Yes.
And something else that's in the news these days, she wants to abolish ICE. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
I have. I was one of the earliest candidates to get on board with that as well. And now
Why do you think it should be abolished, and should it be replaced with anything?
Well, it's only been around for 15 years. When I came out with that statement, people were like, Randy, isn't that a little bit radical? And I was like, well, think about it. They've only been around for 15 years. And now I just read a letter that 19 ICE agents are calling for the abolition, for ICE to be abolished. As well, sending it to the Department of Homeland Security. And more recently, Congressman Mark Buchanan has introduced legislation as well. It's when you picture ICE, it's a group that's really terrifying the immigrant community, because especially among the children, when they hear ICE, they think they get this mental image of a militarized police force kicking in doors in the middle of the night. They've overstepped their bounds, what they were meant to do. They've been detaining legal citizens more and more, and just looking at what's going on down at the border is as far away from being, having American ideals and values as I could possibly imagine.
Let's touch on a couple of other things in the news. Foxconn. Kathy Myers, very outspoken against the deal. You've been opposed to the deal. Why would Foxconn, which could create thousands of middle-class jobs in your district, why would that be a bad thing? You're an iron worker. Why wouldn't you support that?
Well, here's the thing. The building trades are going to benefit from the jobs, obviously. But the fact is, the problem that I have with Foxconn is the $4.5 billion worth of Wisconsin taxes that's being used for it. Especially when Scott Walker, one of the first things he did when he was elected was to cut nearly $1 billion, $900 million from public education and give it to voucher schools. My son, I have an 11-year-old son who's suffering as a result of that. This is 4.5 times that amount. I'd rather see that money be spent on fixing our infrastructure, which is something that I've done for the past 21 years as well. I mean, our bridges are crumbling, and now Scott Walker decided that he's going to stretch these projects along. We're not going to finish them in the time frame that we had set up. So it's going to cost more now as a result of doing that. But that money could have been used to fix our roads. And I'm also very disappointed seeing that although we can't fix our infrastructure, we're going to build brand new wide lanes for automated trucks. And these are vehicles that aren't even going to, it's not going to be human jobs. These are automated trucks driving from Mitchell Airport to the Foxconn location. So it's making sure that we get our money's worth is my big concern, and also with the environmental protections that are being removed.
Briefly, some people in labor have agreed with President Trump about the fact that they do not feel it's a level playing field in terms of trade. And so he says he's taking steps. He's imposing tariffs on imported goods. He says he's going to change things. Do you support the tariffs the president's doing? Do you support his goal?
I support the goal of keeping American jobs in America. But what he's doing is more political theater than actually getting anything done. Tariffs could be used as a means to keep jobs here, but I don't think he's using it in any long-term intelligent, well-thought-out goal. The first time he talked about tariffs, he included everybody. The next day, he stepped back. He said, well, except for Canada and Mexico. A week later, he removed Australia. So it was like he just shot from the hip without thinking ahead of what was actually needed to be done. And now this time, too, to see him, going after Harley-Davidson, which is an American tradition and a Wisconsin cornerstone economically, making threats. It's not, I don't believe that he's able to protect American jobs. And, right after he was elected, look at Carrier. He guaranteed these jobs are going to stay, and they're leaving. They're not. It's not the tariffs I have a problem with. It's the man that is using them as political theater.
Randy Bryce is one of the Democratic candidates in the 1st Congressional District. We appreciate your time today. Thanks very much for being back on the program.
Thank you so much. Always great to see you.
When we come back, the evolving relationship between President Trump and Governor Walker. The president now calls the governor a special talent, but it wasn't always that way.